Hey guys, my name's Mark, and I'm dropping into your feed today with a special episode of Made Alive. Made Alive is different from our regular Fire Up podcast. Made Alive tells stories of faith and transformation for seekers and Christians alike. In today's episode, you're going to hear Dave Jensen interviewing Sam Mahdavi. Now, Sam grew up in Iran in a Muslim family until he encountered Jesus, and his life was completely transformed. It's an incredible story of the power of God. And if you're encouraged by it, why don't you share it with someone else who you know is seeking Jesus?
But I had the most shocking moment when I was in Perth. When I arrived, the next day, my sister and her husband sat me down and said, we've got to tell you something. And I felt so loved within the first 5 minutes of my arrival to church. I had this thought in my head that maybe, Sam, maybe, the reason you're in Australia is to meet this Jesus who's been trying to get your attention literally from the first day. In Iran, when you turn 18 as a man, you must do army conscription. I used to hear stories about, people who would sleep with a gun under their throat. I only had one question. I knew, in my head, I had one question.
G'day everyone, I'm Dave Jensen. Welcome to Made Alive. I'm joined today by Sam Mahdavi. Sam is from Iran, born and bred there, but in a crazy series of events moved to Australia where he became a Christian, even though he has a Muslim background. So we're going to spend time today talking to Sam, hearing about that transformation in his life, and also spending some time thinking about those key differences between Islam and Christianity and what that all means. Sam, brother, welcome.
Hey, mate, thanks for having me.
Mate, it's my absolute pleasure. Now listen, for as long as we've known each other, which has been like a year or so now, that I've been trying to call you mate or brother with your own language.
Yeah.
Now, what is the word?
Azizam.
I beg your pardon?
Azizam.
Azizam.
Yeah.
Okay, which I thought was really great that I got that, but then it turns out that's an Ed Sheeran song.
That's right.
As well. Do you like Ed Sheeran?
Not really. I appreciate his talents, but he's not my favorite singer.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't like him at all.
Yeah.
So I've got to come up with a different...
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
A different...
I'll teach you another word.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. Brother, tell us about growing up in Iran. Tell us about yourself. Where are you from? What was life like growing up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Tehran, the capital of Iran, in a family of 4. I've only got one older sister who's 10 years older than me. And as long as I remember, my whole life was all about soccer. I love, we call it football. I love soccer. I love playing it. I love watching it. So my whole childhood, teenage years just summed up in playing and watching soccer. Yeah. And it was all right. I struggled at school and uni and never really liked studying, I guess. And there was always this kind of tension between me and my dad because he really wanted to push me to study.
No way.
Yeah, man.
A Middle Eastern father. You're kidding?
Yeah, man. No.
Oh, I'm joking. Yeah.
And I was a terrible student.
Yeah.
I would just I just wanted to play soccer and I didn't want to go to school. So there was always this tension. Oh, you got to study. Otherwise you'll end up being homeless, You'll have no job. So I remember that in my childhood and teenage years. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Kind of average family, nothing really special, just played soccer.
Now, most of us in Australia or from Western countries, we hear about Iran. And you know what we hear about.
Do,
So the movies, there was a movie when I was growing up called Not Without My Daughter.
Okay.
Which was a movie about a man an Iranian man who married an American woman. They moved to Iran and then he sort of kidnapped the daughter.
Okay.
Okay. And then there was Argo.
Argo, yeah. Ben Affleck, yeah.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
And there's been a whole bunch of other movies. So there's obviously for us, there's just a great sense of unknown. And I suppose it's probably like learning about Australia by watching Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, that's right.
It's really nothing like Australia whatsoever.
Yeah.
So when many of us think about growing up in Iran, it feels like, man, you've got the Ayatollah,
we do,
the Revolutionary Guard.
Yeah.
It feels almost like, a Muslim version of Nazi Germany and very constricted.
Yeah.
What was it like? What's it like?
It's quite interesting because Iran is quite different from other Middle Eastern or Muslim countries because growing up, they teach you in your family, not at school, that you're Persian. We weren't Muslim.
So not Arabic?
Yeah, we're
Persian.
not Arabs.
Not
We are-
Arabs.
Not Arabs. We are
Persian,
Persian. So
yeah.
you learn that, okay, we are Muslims by definition. So the majority of people in Iran are just nominal Muslims, which is quite different from other Muslim countries, like Arab countries.
So are you saying that they're more Muslim, the Arab countries?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yes. But
Really?
it's quite different in Iran. People grow up, like I grew up knowing the history that I'm Persian, like we weren't Muslims, but we're Muslim by definition. And they teach you in your family, not at school. So there's always this tension that, oh man, there's like, Cyrus the Great, Darius, this is who we are.
Xerxes, all these guys.
Yeah. So like we used to have our own religion, and we hear a lot about that. So people, like, it's quite different. If you go to Iran, you don't see women wearing like hijab like what you see like in the news. So it's quite like liberal, like in a way people follow Islam. They're like, well, they believe in the Prophet and Quran, but like quite like we're nominal Muslims.
Nominal.
We do stuff that Islam tell us to do, but also we don't do most of it. So you just don't know where people are. So it's interesting that you do have a percentage of the population who are strict Muslims, but I can say 70 to 80% of people kind of in between. They're like, oh, I love a little bit of Islam, but I'm Persian. I'm not really Muslim.
So you're saying that the dominant identifying feature for an Iranian is Persian,
Persian.
over Muslim.
That's right.
Our heritage is Persian.
That's right.
And how do you know an Iranian is Persian? Don't worry, they'll tell you.
They'll tell you,
No,
yeah.
that's straight away. This is a big deal. But that's so interesting because obviously, what's the name of the country? The
Iran.
Islamic Republic of Iran.
Yeah.
And certainly, when we think Iran, we think Islamist. Support for Hezbollah, Hamas, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So, how do those things meet culturally?
Yeah.
In that sense, that you've got a
Yes.
a religious autocracy.
That's right.
But the population is probably more like Turkey,
That's
a bit
right.
more casual in its nature. Why?
That's,
how does
that's,
that work?
that's the hardest thing about Iran, to live in Iran. There's this distinction between the government, what they believe and what they do, and people. So yes, whatever you said about the government is right, but people are aware of it. So growing up, they even teach you, like my dad used to sit me down and say, don't say this stuff that we talk about at home, at school. Like we grew up being scared of the government, that they hear what you say, they watch you wherever you go. They kind of know, it feels like the government knows what people believe or what they don't believe, but they are so powerful. They are so in control of the country and people. They made people so scared of them that there is nothing people can do. So there is this distinction between the government and their supporters and the majority of people. Like I can say with confidence, 70 to 80% of people don't want the government. But what can you do about it? We've had so many protests in the last 30 years. What can you do about it?
Yeah. And is it fair to say, growing up for you, are you aware of that? Or how are you guys, how are you hearing about America or Western democracies? Is it sort of portrayed as the great Satan, like they're the enemy? Or do you have access to television and they're the internet? How does that work for you as a young person, a young man growing up?
Great question. It's interesting that in Iran, most people love America. One reason is
right?
just because the government hates them. We love them. Whatever they say, we don't believe them. The liars, obviously. So that's one reason. Another reason is just I grew up just watching Western countries. Yeah, we had satellites, illegal. Like in order to watch footballs, like Premier League and stuff, we used to have a satellite.
Does everyone have satellite? Like most people?
Most people, but like, I don't know nowadays, but like back in the day, back in my day, they would come like once a month to just destroy your satellites. So we had to like buy a new satellite every month. And I was like, I remember during the World Cup, watching the World Cup, the next day, they're on the roof destroying the satellite. And it was quite painful, I can't even watch a football. But growing, like, you just see the Western countries are like, what? Like, look at their countries, look at those people. Like, if that's the great Satan, like, why is the country so good? Like, why are they living, so much better than us? So you could see it, and that's the second reason. But also, like, I grew up watching, Hollywood movies and American shows. So I think majority of people, again, 70 to 80%, love America, not just America, but even Israel. So if people think Iranians hate Israel, that's not true at all. So there is that. As I said, again, distinction between the government and what they believe and what they say and the people in Iran. Iranians are different. Yeah.
So is it fair to say that the government that's there now, and has been there, of course, since 1979, is that right?
Yeah.
The revolution?
Yeah.
That's a tyrannical autocracy,
That's right.
dictatorship,
That's right.
that exists in military power. So they have power over the people in strength.
That's right.
But that the general people, who are the same people who allowed the Shah to be there, that was quite liberal, everyone knew
right.
about.
Yeah.
But I suppose, you just put up with it? I mean, you protest, but after that, most people just kind of, they're not coming in the middle of the night and kidnapping people en masse or anything. Is that right? Or is that just the threat of that there?
Well, it happened to different people who believe in different religions. Like, if you're Baha'i, if you grow up, believing in Baha'i, I remember they used to do that. They used to even set the houses on fire.
Oh, is it right?
Yeah, so it'd be really hard. But no, that's not my experience. You know that you're oppressed. You don't have freedom. You can't even wear a short sleeve shirt to go out.
A man can't.
A man can't. So you know that this is it.
So this is like you wearing no shirt right now.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So if you want to have freedom, if you want to live as a normal human being, you have to move outside of it. You have to move away. You have to go to another country.
Wow.
Yeah, you know it. Growing up, you know it. This is what it is. If you don't want it, just leave the country.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And let's talk about religion.
Yeah.
So you grew up a Muslim, and Iran is famously, of course, a majority Shia country.
Yeah.
And of course, you have tensions geographically with Iraq, with all these nearly everyone. I think there's that sort of tension with Iran, but a big military power. But did you grow up Shia? And what was your exposure to other religions growing up, and particularly Christianity?
Yeah.
What was your exposure to that?
What was my exposure? I had one Christian friend. He was Armenian. So 2% of the population.
Armenian?
Armenians. Yeah. Or how do you pronounce it? Armenian. Yeah.
So they're people with an Armenian heritage. And that's, of course, if you speak to any Armenian, they will always say they're the oldest Christian nation on earth. That's what they say. They're like the Iranians with Persians.
Yeah.
So the Iranians have an Armenian minority.
That's right.
And they're Christian.
Yeah, 2% of the population.
2%, which is not insignificant. Yeah. And they're allowed to
go to church. To Catholic church. And we are not allowed. As a Muslim, you're not allowed to step into the church. If they find out, you're in trouble.
Okay, but those churches are there, like in the suburbs and stuff.
Yeah, some Catholic, Orthodox
churches.
We don't have Protestant Christians there, only Catholics and Orthodox. Wow. Yeah, that was my first exposure. I had questions, and he did answer some of my questions, but it just didn't make sense to me. But I remember watching the Passion of Christ movie. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was my real first exposure
on
to
satellite
Christianity. Yes. Yeah. And I remember watching it with my mom, and my mom, I believed that Jesus was a prophet, and I was my mom used to say that this prophet Jesus suffered the most, more than any other prophets, and I was why? This is horrible. The movie, what happened to him, it's horrible.
It is a full-on movie.
Yeah. And I was it was always in the back of my head that why did he have to suffer this much? And I didn't even know that Jesus was Middle Eastern. I thought he was European or something. I thought he was from Greece. He was Greek. So that was my first exposure.
We don't really call Greeks European. Yeah. That's not true. I grew up with Greeks, and I just want to say to any Greek watching, you are European.
Yeah,
we know that. Cypriots, wow. No, but man. So can I just ask you, for those who aren't aware of Islam's position towards Jesus, you said, yeah, can you explain what it is?
Yeah, so people believe in Jesus as a prophet. And actually, people, like including me, I used to believe in all the miracles that Jesus did. Like we believe that Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. They call him a very special prophet, one of the big prophets. So 5 prophets were really big in Islam, Noah, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, Abraham. Yeah. So Jesus is one of them. And people, some Muslims, including my family, we used to call Jesus the Son of God, but not knowing what that means.
Wow.
Yeah, because we thought it was his surname or something.
But most Muslims, practicing Muslims, would say that Jesus is a prophet, but not the Son of God.
No.
And not God.
Yeah, they don't know what the meaning of Son of God is. They think, it's just like a title.
Which it is, to be fair, it is a messianic title in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And certainly one of the other distinctives, is it right that Muslims don't believe Jesus died and rose from the dead? Is that right? I think
no,
fainted on the cross or something? Or?
Yeah, so the different ideas, it's the most confusing thing, as a Muslim, about Jesus. Growing up, I thought it was I don't know, something that Christians lied about. He didn't die, he died, and they say he rose, but they moved his body, they stole his body. So that's the most controversial thing about Jesus in Islam. And I never really understood it, because there's so many different opinions. Some say, they stole his body, they lied about him, or he didn't die, his brother died. So there's just so many different opinions, and people are very confused about it. I didn't believe that he died and rose. I mean, I believe he died, but I didn't believe in his resurrection. Yeah.
So let's fast forward. You grow up soccer obsessed, Muslim. Would you have called yourself looking back, did you believe in God?
I did believe in God.
You believe
yes, in one creator.
The one creator, Allah, but
Allah,
you thought he was named Allah.
Yeah.
And so you would have happily called yourself a Muslim?
Yes. Happily, I did for the majority of my life in Iran. When I was at high school, I'm Muslim, but after that, not really.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be identified.
No. And so it was never you were never tempted to be outside of the 70% majority who are a bit sort of casual, but it's who you are. You're Persian, Muslim.
Yeah.
And yet today, not only, brother, are you a Christian, you're a pastor, you're a preacher. And you're here in Australia. We're so blessed to have you. So talk to us about how that happened. How did you come to Australia? And what happened in the way you came here that meant that you could actually meet the real Jesus?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. As you said, I grew up in a Muslim family. I would happily call myself Muslim, but I reached a point in my life. I was I'm sick of this. It's just so hard to follow Allah. It's so demanding. It's just weight on your shoulder you can carry. Just Allah is so scary. He waits for you to slip up so he can punish you. And also I looked around and I saw hypocrisy around me, in Iran, with Muslims especially, people who believed in one thing and lived another way. So that kind of made me, sick of it. I'm no, if that's Islam, I don't want it. It's just too much. So I kind of stopped, following Islam when I was a teenager, 16, 17. And when I turned 18...
Did you tell your parents or anything? Or was it just a personal...
It's a personal, I guess, yeah. My parents... kind of like me as well.
Okay.
My dad was a bit more kind of Muslim, but then my mom, I didn't tell him. I didn't think that's important. I just kind of gave up. Doesn't matter who God is. Anyway, I turned 18 and things got really dark for me as a teenager. I struggled with severe anxiety and depression. And in Middle Eastern culture, men aren't supposed to struggle. I could not imagine sitting with my dad and say, I've got depression. What do you mean you've got depression? You grew up learning that men don't cry, men don't struggle. Depression, I didn't even know what depression is. So I was scared of talking to people, and it got really dark for me. And I dropped out of uni without telling anyone because I was scared. I was I'd lie to my parents. I'm going to uni, but I would, go somewhere else. So I struggled with that for a year, and it was probably the toughest time in my life. And in Iran, when you turn 18 as a man, you must do army conscription. It's compulsory. You have 2 options. You can either continue studying or join the army. I remember at that time, so I dropped out of uni and I knew I had a deadline, a year and a half to join the army. And at that time, they were sending all the soldiers, or most of them, to the borders of Iran and Iraq to fight ISIS. That was like the start of ISIS, 2014, 13. And I was really scared. And I was like, this is real. Like, I'm going to end up there. And I used to hear stories about, people who would sleep with a gun under their throat, like in case ISIS attacks, they would kill themselves. And I'm like, that can't be me. I can't do that. Like, I got to do something. I struggled with depression and I had no purpose, nothing to look forward to. And the army was the next thing in my life. So I called my sister who lives in Perth.
No, that's a big thing, isn't it? So your sister is 10 years older than you?
Yes.
And when did she move to Perth?
It was back in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people from Iran, obviously, if you live in Australia, you've probably interacted with an Iranian, a Persian.
That's right.
Because a lot of Iranians have migrated over in the last 10, 15 years.
That's right.
And how, the government allow you, we'll get to your story, but is that quite simple to do? How did your sister get over? What happened?
No, it's not simple, man. You gotta come as a student. That's like the easiest way you can say and the best way. So you apply for a degree, you apply for to study at a uni in Australia, and you have to pass an English test, IELTS, and you have to get a strong English score. So you've got to have good English and a degree, and then apply, and then if you get admission from a uni in Australia, you can move to Australia. And that was a big thing in my family because my sister, 10 years older than me, moved to Australia, she's got a good life, she's got a husband, a family, and my parents would always say, oh, look at her, well, look at you, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
So that was, and Middle Eastern culture, they beat you up,
Yeah.
with all these words.
So did she move over with her family or did she leave her family? Okay, so she married in Iran, moved over together.
Yeah, and so she was always like, wow, look at her, and I was always here. So I called her one day and I said, like, this is a situation, I'm struggling mentally, and also I've got to join the army, I don't know what to do. And she was like, why don't you come here? And I was like, I'd love to, man, but I don't think I can. I dropped out of uni. I don't know if I can re-enroll. If I want to, I only had a year and a half to join the army, and if I wanted to study a degree, it would take 4 years to finish. And English, like, how would I study English? I only knew a handful of English words. But I was like, I'm going to go to uni and just see if I can re-enroll. And they usually don't let you do that once you drop out. And they did. And that day I went to uni, and there was a kind lady who was like, we don't usually allow this, but because, you've done this 3 months ago, I can let that happen. So I re-enrolled, and I went to this English institute and to get my English tested to see what my level is. And they came back to me and said, mate, it will take you like a good 5 years to even get to that level of being ready for this test. So I went home, told my mom, I said, look, I've got this plan, but I don't think I can do it. Like, I'm really scared. Like, army is the next thing. I don't want to go to the border to fight ISIS. And she was like, I've got a friend who teaches English. Do you want me to, tell her to come and teach you? And I said, yeah, why not? And she came. She started teaching me English, and I was like, I think I can do this. I try my best. In the back of my head, I knew, mate, I'm going to fail both the English and uni stuff, but I'm going to give it a go anyway, just so I can prove it to myself and my parents that I'm not worthless, that I can do something. At least I can try. And I got this motivation that, yes, I want to do this. And I don't like studying, but I got this like energy out of nowhere that, no, I'm going to pass this English test. And after 6 months, I improved so much that I could sit the test. And I was like, wow, mate, I'm good at this, So I got ready for the test. I took the English test and passed. I got a very strong score.
I can't believe that because your English is terrible.
Yeah, I know.
That's ridiculous. I can barely understand a word you're saying. No, that's shocking. No, that's, I can tell why. Yeah.
And I kept like studying in uni, and I was like passing subjects. I remember like passing subjects that I should have failed. I was like, what's happening? There was this like tension in my head that, yes, I'm good at this. I can do this. But at the same time, things are happening in a way that I'm like, it feels like I'm actually leaving. Like, it's like,
felt like you were swimming with the tide.
Yeah, I'm like, nothing can stop me anyway. Yeah. And in order to leave Iran as a soldier, because I was a soldier, had a year and a half deadline, you have to pay a deposit like 15 grand in order to get a permission from the government so you can leave. And everyone's got an ID, national ID card. And I lost my ID card, so I couldn't even go and open an account and pay the deposit. And I was like, wow, I passed uni subjects after a year and 2 months and passed my English test. No, I don't have an ID to go on. And in order to apply for another ID, it would take like another, 6 months to arrive. Anyway, I found my ID. I lost it again. Don't know why. And I went to this bank where I had to open an account to pay deposit. And this guy was just sitting there. And again, another kind person on my way who decided to open an account for me without my ID.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, it feels like God is helping me. And at that time, I had no understanding of God. Again, Allah, scary God, but it felt like he was becoming a bit kinder to me, that this is a higher power helping me. Anyway, I applied for visa, student visa, and they said, it will take up to a year for you to get your visa. And I was like, cool. I don't think I have a year and a half. I don't think I have a year. I only have a few months. And the next day, my agent called me and she said, your visa had been accepted.
Wow.
Got my ticket the next day. A week later, I was on the plane on the way to Perth. And I remember that was the first time that I had the chance to sit and think that, wow, how did this happen? A year and 2 months ago, I only knew a handful of English words. I can handle an English conversation now. And I passed my uni subjects and I got my visa and I'm on the way to Perth. Like, surely this wasn't me. I remember I had that in the back of my mind.
What was it like? I suppose how old were you at this point?
21.
21. How old are you now?
32.
32. You look terrible. Oh man, you don't actually. You can tell he doesn't. You are the best looking Persian in this room.
Thank you. Yeah.
Aziz.
Yes.
When you arrive in Perth, you're meeting your sister. Yeah. How does it feel? And what happens?
Mate, it was really tough. Like for 21 years, I lived in a different country, and now I'm here, just completely different country. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I felt so homesick. I didn't even like the rice, the taste of meat, the taste of water. Everything just tastes different. Anyway, but I had the most shocking moment when I was in Perth. I remember I arrived the next day. My sister and her husband sat me down and said, "We've got to tell you something." And I said, "What is it?" They said, "We became Christians." And that was the most shocking thing. That's like, not because I was a believer in Islam, but it's just what you don't do. You don't change your religion. You just stop following your religion. You don't convert. That's like the scariest thing you can do. And I was shocked. I was scared for them. I was like, why did you do this? And like, why did you keep a secret? I mean, that's why they kept a secret, because they were scared of other people, relatives, finding it out. Are you serious about this? I said, yeah, we're serious. And we want you to meet our pastor. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to meet your pastor. And they're like, oh, he's a nice guy. You should meet him. Have a coffee. We're going to Macca's to have a coffee with him, read the Bible. You should come. We'd love you to come. And I was really scared. I was like, mate, what is this? Anyway, I went to Macca's, and this old pastor, he's American. His name is Rick. He's a Baptist pastor. He sat me down at a Bible, opening it up with this thick American accent, tried to show me for the next 20 minutes that Jesus is God. And I was like, this is weird, man. Like, it's been a day, since I arrived. What is this? I'm not here for this stuff. And he said to me, mate, you gotta believe in Jesus. He's God. And I said, mate, I'm here to follow my dream, not to follow any religion. And I don't think Jesus is God. And I think it's weird that you think he's God. And I left.
Yeah.
It was not a nice conversation. I was quite aggressive in a way that I responded, because it was like a bit fed up. I was like, I haven't even seen Australia. I'm here to just, experience freedom and live in a first world country.
Yeah.
I came from a third world country to just live my life.
And you're still complaining about the food. Yeah. Seriously, you guys. And I got to be fair, to be honest, Middle Eastern food is the most delicious food in the world. We're catching up.
Yeah.
But there's no Persian El Jana, is there?
No. Come on.
Right. What are you Oh, man.
Yeah.
Poor Rick. I feel for him, man, having to sit there with you. But good on him, man. It's hard. And good on you, bro. If, the door's not open, this is all a big part of your journey. But
Yeah. And then I had 2 months to move to Wollongong. And here's the interesting part. I didn't know Wollongong was in New South Wales. I thought it was in Victoria. I mean, my agent said, there's a uni in Victoria that you can go and study. So I called my sister when I was in Iran, and I said, do you know anything about Melbourne, Victoria? She was like, yeah, Melbourne's the best city in Australia. You should move to Melbourne. I mean, she's wrong about it.
She's obviously, that's of all the things that you've said today, that is the most crazy.
Nonsense,
Keep going. Nonsense.
And I was like, all right, I'll move to Melbourne. And then when I was in Perth, a month or 2 months before I moved to Wollongong, I realised that no. Actually, Wollongong is closer to Sydney. It's in New South Wales and in Melbourne. So I didn't even know where Wollongong was. I only knew that it's a nice uni, it's cheap. There's like, you got nice hiking tracks, you've got the beach. That's all I knew about Wollongong. Anyway, and I was about to pack up and move to Wollongong, and Pastor Rick knocked on the door again. I was like, oh, here we go. What does he want? And he said, I know you're moving tomorrow. Here, I bought you a Persian Bible.
Wow.
It was nice of him, but I was so annoyed. I'm like, I don't want a Bible. So I got the Persian Bible. It's a very nice Persian Bible. I still have it. I actually gave it to another Iranian person who became a Christian 2 years ago at that church.
Is the language, is that Farsi?
Farsi or Persian. Same thing.
Same thing.
Same
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Different words. I love, Persian sounds nicer and friendlier. That's why we
does.
say Persian, yeah.
Yeah, I get it. A Persian sounds like, it's like when Italians, I'd say they're Roman.
That's right.
You're like,
That's
ooh,
right.
that
Yeah,
means
yeah,
something.
yeah.
But your Farsi is like, what?
What is Farsi?
Yeah, but
People
Persian
know.
does seem it's very...
Persian.
Yeah, okay.
So give me a Persian Bible. I got it. I shook his hand. See you later. I put it on the bed. Didn't even take it to Wollongong. And I said, I don't want that. Packed up, moved to Wollongong, and man, that was like one of the toughest experiences. New city, small city. I come from a city.
Yeah, how many people live in
17 million, and the shops are open 24/7. I remember the first day in Wollongong, walking down Cran Street. I'm like, is this it? You've got like 10, 20 shops, and you close at 5 p.m. Like
On a good day, man. I've been to Wollongong. Let me tell you, I love Wollongong, but it is a dump. And I've got to be honest, I once went to Wollongong on a Good Friday, and it was like 11 in the morning or something. Anyway, the whole place was shut.
Shut.
And you know what it reminded me? It reminded me of like Yugoslavia. I was like downtown. It was just the tumbleweeds blowing everywhere. It was just... Ugh.
Yeah.
Now, I do love Wollongong for the people, but...
the beach is nice.
The,
but I
beach,
didn't
no, the
appreciate
suburbs
it.
are nice. The suburbs are nice.
Yeah.
But the town itself...
Oh,
and I've been there before, and every cafe shuts at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, that's
and,
right. I was like, I don't know a single person in this town. I don't like it. It's too small. What have I done? And I'm stuck here for the next 2 years.
Which is a great, actually, just on a segue to that to go, isn't that a great perspective shaper about the things that we hope for, that all of us in one way or another, just in life, can generally create this version of ourselves in the future where we're doing the thing that we want,
That's right.
that we're not currently doing. And we believe in that version that, things are going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But it very rarely works out that way.
Right.
In fact,
Yeah.
it so evidently doesn't work out that way that actually God often uses that frustration to lead us to Himself.
That's right.
Which is exactly what happens,
That's
isn't
right.
it? So yeah.
That's
what happens?
exactly right.
Yeah.
I had this image of heaven in my head about Australia, moving here, freedom, mate. Like from third world country to first world. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do whatever I want to. And I moved to Wollongong, and I was like, this is not what I expected.
You're going to the Dapto Dogs on a Tuesday
mate.
night.
And I got to the free bus, and this guy started yelling at me, just saying racist stuff.
Where's this?
It was the first day. I was I caught the free bus.
Oh, the free bus.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah. It was just
I thought it was some suburb of Wollongong.
No,
I get you.
We've got a free bus from uni to town. And he was just not mentally well. And he started yelling at me and just swearing and saying racist stuff. And I was like, what have I done? Is this going to be the
ISIS, take
everyday
me back,
experience?
take me back. Yeah.
Is this going to be the everyday experience? And I remember going home. I was so homesick that I lost my appetite. Didn't want to eat anything, so I slept. I was like, man, this is not good. The next day I woke up. It was a week. So I went to uni and just didn't have anything to eat. I was like, there's a cafe at uni. Uni was nice, to be fair. And I just go get a coffee and just see what happens. I was really homesick. And I remember I got my backpack, went to the campus, literally within it was my first interaction with anyone in Wollongong at uni. This guy came up to me and said, can I give you something? And I said, sure. And then he reached out to his bag and took out a Gideon gospel and gave it to me. He said, oh, here's a Bible for you. And I got it. And I was like, oh, why didn't I don't need a Bible. Thanks so much. Anyway, put it in my bag. I was like, oh, that's weird. And I went on with my life, and things didn't get better. I still struggle with studying, with not being able to find friends and just fitting in the society. It was really tough. The first 3 months, really tough. And I had this lecturer. She was Korean. Nice lady. She would sometimes have a chat with me after the class. And one day, it was the last lecture of the term. She said, oh, it's been really good, having this class with you guys. By the way, before you go, I want to tell you about something. And it was like 150 of us in the class. It was a finance lecture. And she put a slide up, and she was advertising an evangelistic rally. And I'm 100% sure she wasn't allowed to do it.
Big time. That's 100% illegal. Yeah. Good on this woman.
And
God bless her.
So many Muslims. And she said...
There's lots of Muslims in the class.
Lots of, including me.
Why were there so many Muslims in that class?
We just had Muslim students. Yeah.
Is it where from?
From like Pakistan, India, different countries. I remember like having like so many Muslims in the class.
Gotcha.
And she said, I still remember, she said, this is an event about Jesus. I love Jesus.
Are you doing a Korean voice right now? Is that what you're doing?
No.
That is unbelievable.
Not at all.
I'll allow it. This woman sounds amazing, by the way. Keep going. Yeah, good on
it. And I want you to come. I love Jesus. I can't pick you up. I'll buy you food and I'll take you there. It'll be really good. And I remember sitting there and thinking, she's very kind. Why not? I'll go. I don't have any friends. I'd love to meet friends. And I had no idea. And I forgot about this whole Bible Jesus thing. It's been 3 months after that interaction, with Bibles and Pastor Rick. I'm like, okay, I go. Not because I'm interested in Jesus. It's just I'm interested in food, and she's nice, and she's gonna pick me up. Anyway, I didn't need to be picked up. It was at uni, Hope Theatre. It was called Gospel for the Gong. I had no idea about like the name and stuff. Anyway, I went there, and I ended up being the only student out of those 150 students who went there to that event. And I expected to see more students. It's a great offer. No one was there. And I was like, okay. And then she met me and she was like, I can't believe you came. She gave me a hug. And I was very surprised with the way she reacted, because she was like, wow, thank you for coming. And I was like, free food, and why not? Like, why are you so thankful? And I walked into the auditorium, and there were 500 people. I still remember singing You Alone Can Rescue. And as I was walking down to find a seat, I was like, just reading the lyrics, that you alone can rescue, you alone can save. Or, Lord, who could save themselves? And I was like, I was blown away by the singing. Just people singing together the lyrics. And I was like, yeah, who could save themselves?
Is music a part of Islam? Is there a singing culture?
Not at all.
So the prayer, which sounds
that's not music.
It's not music, but it's got a tune, I suppose, to it. But there's no corporate singing.
No. And I was like, okay. And then the next song was 10,000 Reasons, and there was this part of it where people sung, "You're rich in love and slow to anger. Your heart is kind." And I was like, this is not a God I know. God is not kind, and God is just and judge and holy, but he's not kind, and he's not slow to anger. Actually, he's very quick to anger, and he's not rich in love and mercy. And men don't cry. I started crying, and I was like, I didn't want anyone to see me, and I was like, there is really something like about this. And I remember someone preached. I don't know who he was. I didn't understand a single word. I didn't understand anything. I was just waiting for the songs to come, for the ending, because my lecturer said, "Oh, we'll be singing more." And after that, we went to the foyer, and she introduced me to a few pastors from Wollongong Baptist, Joel Deacon, Rod Bailey, Mark Roberts, and they were chatting to me. Joel Deacon is a massive soccer fan. Started chatting about soccer, And I said to him, I said, I don't really like Wollongong. I want to move to Perth to be with my sister.
And if you don't like Wollongong, Perth is a dumb. What is wrong, man? I'm kidding. I love Wollongong. I love Perth. They're beautiful places.
Yeah, that's right. And he said, why do you want to move to Perth? I said, well, I don't have a job here. I can't find a job. He said, I find you a job. And I said, well, I have to move out of uni accommodation and I have to find a place. I don't think you can find a place. He said, I find you a place. What are you doing tomorrow? And I said, nothing. He said, come to my place, play FIFA. And I said, to your place, sure. I went to his place. It was the first time, and I was invited to an Australian house. It was a big deal.
So can I press pause here to go, this is fascinating because in one respect, you go to this event and you're not listening.
Nah.
Like you are listening, but you're feeling.
Yeah.
You know, like
right.
you're crying, you don't know why. Yeah. The music is there, you can hear those words, and they're on the screen as well, so you can see them.
That's right.
The preacher preaches.
Yeah.
But that's not registering as much. But then Joel, and this is an amazing, I love this, man, but Joel is generous and kind, but not about like, hey, it's one thing to say a job or a place, but actually the invite to the house, is that the thing that stuck with you more, like that kind of relational?
Yes. I actually didn't end up going to his place, but the fact that he invited me.
That he would care enough to...
Yeah, because I thought for the last 3 months, I thought Aussies don't even want to talk to me. Like, they don't like me here. Because the fact that someone invited me to his house.
And now you know we just don't like each other.
Yeah, that's right.
It's got nothing to do with you, man. Like, I've never been invited there. No one invites me to their house either.
That's right. Yeah.
It is a cultural...
A kind of individualistic culture.
It is, It's a really terrible part of our culture, actually.
Yeah. Very different from Middle Eastern, where even you meet strangers and say, come to my place for a cup of tea.
Very much so.
So I didn't I'm like, oh, wow, very kind, but I don't think I can make it. And he said, oh, by the way, before you go... can I add you on Facebook? So he added me on Facebook. He said, we've got this Discover Jesus course at church. Would you want to come? And I said, no, church is like, I can come here, but church is like next level. I'm scared of going to church. Don't be scared. Like, we'll be fine. I said, no, I don't think I can. I'm sorry. He added me on Facebook, and I went to my lecturer's office to get my assignment, and I actually got high distinction for my assignment, and I was very encouraged. I was very happy that I studied so hard. I got high distinction. And she said to me, before you go, we've got this Discover Jesus at our church. Would you come? I'll pick you up. I'll buy you food.
You've got to stop with that Korean accent, man. I mean, you're nailing it. I just feel like for this, you didn't do that accent for Joel, but it's just
no.
But is she at the same church?
Same church.
I get you.
And in Middle Eastern culture, you have a high respect for your teachers.
Of course.
So when your teacher invites you to something, and I was happy I got high distinction. I said, okay, I come. Yeah. Sure. And then Joel on Facebook messaged me, by the way, Discover starts tonight, would you come? I said, yeah, I'm coming with Maria. Her name is Maria Kim. And she picked me up, took me to a Thai restaurant. As a uni student, you're broke, so you can't eat out. And she just ordered so much food, and we had food, and she's very nice and kind. And I went to church, and I was very scared. I expected a Catholic kind of church. And I went to this building, and I'm like, is this church? Yeah, this is church. It's like a building. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And I met this guy as I stepped into the church. His name is Ito. He's from Philippines. And he's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. And he gave me a hug. And people were just happy that I'm there. And I was like, why they're so kind and happy? And I felt so loved within the first 5 minutes of my arrival to church, that these people are just happy for me to be here. That's really nice. I've never experienced this in my life. Never. And everyone wanted to talk to me. Everyone wanted to welcome me. Do you want a coffee? Do you want food? You sit here, talk to me. And I'm like, this is really nice. And I love the vibe. I just love the vibe. It was like a Middle Eastern vibe. It was like dim lights, with plants on the table, Bibles, candles. I just like the food. People were nice. I'm here. Why not? That's
really not just Middle Eastern. Like all of us are giving lights and doing.
Yeah, I know. But the vibe was like with palettes and brown papers. Anyway,
my wife's Italian. Okay, and Italians like Persians claim to have invented everything, and the Chinese, by the way. So they're like, Italians. Yeah, when we invented this shish. When we invented, and just like, and as you guys, you're inventing candles.
Invented everything.
Man. Although to be fair to the Persians, you did a lot.
Yeah.
So go on. Yeah, what happened?
Yeah. And And here is, I'm sitting with 5, 6 different people around me at a table, listening to this preacher, Mark Roberts, who is our senior pastor now. And he started talking about Jesus. Again, I wasn't really, I only had one question. I knew, like in my head, I had one question. And the question was that I can trust the Bible. I know you guys talk about Jesus and the Bible, but I grew up believing that the Bible is distorted. It's been changed because of so many translations that you have.
And that's one of the strong arguments that a Muslim will use.
That's right.
Is that the Bible's been distorted. They can't say where, but just this general sort of, this generic kind of like, it's been distorted, so we can trust some of it, not all of it.
Exactly.
We don't know which parts we can or can't trust.
No.
But if you ever say anything that disagrees with Islam, they will say, oh, well, that's been distorted.
Yeah. So my argument as a Muslim was, Quran has only one you only read Quran in Arabic. You don't read it. It's never been translated, so it's a holy book and it's never been touched. But you've got like so many translation from different languages. Surely someone touched it along the way. So that was my argument. So Mark, before he started his sermon, he said, "Does anyone have any big questions?" And I said, "Yeah, I don't trust the Bible." And in a cheeky way, I said, "Oh, that's fine. Come back in the 3rd week. I'll explain how you can trust the Bible." And I said, "Actually, I don't think I can come the 3rd week. I'm moving to Perth to visit my sister. It's uni break." And I said, "That's fine. Like, if I find time, I'll explain it to you, but not tonight. I'm talking about something else tonight." And I was like, "Oh, there you go. Typical people. I've got a question. They can't answer me."
Yeah.
So I had that question. Anyway, he started preaching, and I didn't understand, again, a single word he was saying. I did understand the illustrations. But then, here's the key moments in my Christian life. He put a scale from 0 to 10 up on the screen. And he said, "All right, take some time and rate yourself, within this scale. If 0 is Hitler, 10 is God, where are you on this scale?" I was very interested. And guess my score. I said 7. I'm a good 7. I'm not Hitler. If Hitler is 7, I'm 7. Like, I lived my whole life trying to be a good person, not hurting anyone. I remember these thoughts. I've never hurt anyone in my whole life. I've never done anything terrible. I didn't kill anyone. Anyway, so I said I'm 7. I said, fair enough. And then he started explaining things about God, that if God is 10 and God is perfect and holy, which I believe, then we are not even on this scale. We are below 0. And that kind of hit me. And I was like, okay, what if I die tomorrow? Where will I stand? Where do I stand before God? He knows every thought, every desire, every action, everything I've done. Where do I stand before him? It kind of makes sense that I don't think I'm fully right. I may be right. I may not be right. And that was quite scary, because all my life I thought I am right with God, because God sees me and he knows that I'm trying to be a good person. But that was quite intriguing. And I was like, yes, I don't think I'm right with God. I'm not sure. And I'm quite interested in history. And at the end of the sermon, he mentioned stuff about Jesus and his death. I don't remember exactly what he said. And I always, as I said, the death of Jesus was a mystery to me. And I wanted to read it, to read just how he died. So I grabbed the Bible. They said, you can grab a Bible for free. I grabbed the Bible. And the next day I woke up and I was like, last night was a nice experience, eh? Like, went to church, met friends, had good conversations. That scale thing, it's bugging me. I was very intrigued. And I'm usually not a person who can easily be intrigued by something, but that scale was in my head. Where are you? If 0 is Hitler, you're worse than Hitler. So anyway, I opened the Bible, Gospel of John. Somehow I heard about John, like Johanna, we call it in Persian. And I was confused. Is John like Judas? Like, who was Judas? Who was John? Anyway, I opened the Gospel of John, not from the beginning, from chapter 11. It's Gospel of John. So from chapter 11, I started reading, okay? And I was reading the title.
Did you just randomly open it?
Yeah,
or
no, it was John. And then I just it was just flicking, and I was like, the death of Lazarus.
Lazarus, yeah, of course.
I heard about this guy who raised someone from the dead. And I got to the verse where Jesus says, I am, which verse is
28?
28.
25, sorry, 25. I'm the resurrection.
Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. he who believes me will live, even though he dies. And I was like, is he talking to me or talking to Martha? And I got to John chapter 12. Again, the stuff that Jesus was saying, he predicted his death. And, I'm the vine, whoever's, remains in me will, receive life. And then just like stuff that I was reading about him, the way he spoke, I had so many moments that made me think, is he talking to me? This is really, I've never heard anyone speak like him. I was very just locked in. Wow. Is he talking to his disciples or me? It feels like he's talking to me. And I got to his death, John chapter 19, and I read it, and I was like, I even got emotional. I was like, oh wow, this is really powerful stuff. And I was a bit scared because things started to make sense. I was like, something's happening. But this, fair enough, this good man, great man, he did miracles, he's powerful. This resurrection thing, man, it's a sham, it's a scam. Like, no way. There's absolutely no way. I can't believe. Maybe if I was there and I saw him, I would have believed. And literally 5 minutes later, I got to John chapter 20. I met Thomas, and he said exactly what I said. Unless I touch him and put my finger, in his side, I won't believe. And I was like, oh yeah. And then Jesus appeared to him, and he touched Jesus, and he said, my Lord and my God. And again, I was like, is this me or Thomas? I felt like as I was reading it, I was like, this is really personal. And mind you, I don't believe in the Bible, but as I was reading it, I was like, wow, like this Jesus, I've never heard anyone speak like him. And I feel like he knows me. I feel like he knows me. He's talking to me. And Jesus said that you've believed and you've seen me and you believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. And again, I was like, blessed are those who have not seen. And I asked this question 5 minutes ago. And I was like, man, he is talking to me. And I was so sad I had this thought in my head that maybe, Sam, let's be real, that the reason you're in Australia isn't to get a degree, to find a job, find a wife and live successful life. Maybe, just maybe, here's a thought for you, Sam. I was talking to myself. The reason you're in Australia is to meet this Jesus who's been trying to get your attention literally from the first day. So I sat with this thought at uni. I remember having a coffee and I was like, I kind of was in denial that no, this stuff can't be real. And then things in my life started to make sense. Like, I'm here, how I came here, how God has been helping me, how he put different people in my life, how I ended up at church not wanting to be there, not believing in the Bible, but opening the Bible and just reading it and Jesus talking to me. And I felt like this Jesus guy is very personal to me. He knows me. So I called Joel and I said, look, I'm not sure, man. Don't take this as me saying I'm a Christian. But I think I'm believing in Jesus, but I want to know more about him. So he met up with me every week, read the Bible, have a coffee. And then he said, why don't you come to church after a few weeks? Come to church on a Sunday. And I went to church. Again, music. I'm like, I was crying again. Every time I'd sing songs with these people, I cry. And he said to me, come to my home group. And I went to his home group and I was like, I had this image of Aussie houses being really fancy, and I went to his place. It was very humble and he was cooking, snacks, and people were kind, just sitting on the floor, so casually reading the Bible, opening, genuinely loving me, genuinely showing friendship. I could feel it. There is something different about these guys. And I kept going to church, kept going to Bible study for 2-3 months. And then I was like, I knew more. And I told myself that I know more now about Jesus and about God than any other time. And it's harder for me to reject him than to accept him. It's really hard. And I still don't know everything. But the stuff about God's grace, that he forgives, makes sense. If God is holy, if God is perfect, the only way to be right with him is that he forgives you. And this is the God who's been always in my mind, my heart, the God who not only forgives, but he sacrificially did it. He sent his son and he did it for me. This is personal. It makes sense that the only way to be right with him is through his grace. If he says, I wipe your slate clean, it makes sense. But again, I'm still not sure. Anyway, after a few weeks, I said to Joel, I think I know more now. I don't think I can reject Jesus. I don't think I can. I don't think I have the power to say, no, I don't believe it. I don't 100% believe it, but again, there's something about him that I can't reject. And I want to be serious. I want to commit my life to Jesus. I want to trust him. It takes a bit of faith at the end. And I want to get baptized. And I got baptized publicly at the beach in Wollongong in April 2017 by Joel, declaring that, like Thomas, that Jesus is my Lord and my God. I want to put my trust in him. And I believe in him. And I've been growing ever since. The best decision I've ever made in my life. Never, not even a day. I've never had a day since that day that I regret following Jesus.
Wow.
So that's how it happened. Yeah.
Oh, brother. Praise God, man. It's interesting, as you were just talking, John 6 struck me when Jesus, at the end of this interaction, where he talks to the Jews, he says this about the word, and it really ties in where you go. The Spirit gives life, the flesh counts for nothing. The words I have spoken to you are spirit, and they are life. Now, what that means is that these words, even if we don't comprehend them, even if we don't understand them, they're living, they're active, they're real, they're powerful, which doesn't mean that evangelism is a case of, hey, we just need to letterbox everyone a Bible and don't ever explain it or whatever. But there is a supernatural power to the Word of God.
That's right.
Which does cut through. And I had the same experience when I became a Christian, that as I read the Bible, I was struck for the first time as an adult, he knows me better than I know myself.
Yeah, felt like that. Yeah.
Like I remember, like little lines like Jesus would not entrust himself to them because he knew men. And I was like, yep.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. And I'm just like, all the way through.
Yeah. And I had people who sat with me and tried to explain that the Bible is God's word. I remember this guy, Tim Matthews, like big guy, Aussie, and he was like, Sam, why I believe that the Bible is God's word? I said, why? He said, because of the embarrassing stories in the Bible.
Yeah.
Peter, the leader of the church, denied Jesus 3 times. So surely early Christians, if they wanted to change something, they would have changed that the leader didn't deny Jesus. Paul, who wrote 70% of the New Testament, shares his testimony, and he calls himself the worst of sinners, and he says that he used to kill Christians. Surely, if he changed the Bible, or anyone changed the Bible to make it more reliable, they would have, changed the story of Paul. Or even in the Old Testament, like God's people, the Jews, never always failed to follow God. They worshipped idols. The sexual immorality in the book of Judges, the violence. So as a Jew, if you want to change the Bible, surely you would change those stuff. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Totally, man.
Why would they leave those embarrassing stories about themselves in the Bible?
And, it makes perfect sense, actually, of when you consider that same perspective onto the rest of history, and you think of, or take Persia, oh my goodness, Xerxes, 19 foot tall, and, and the Greeks, they're worse, like the Romans, don't get me started, that we continually polish.
Yeah.
Whereas, the Bible is at pains to point out the flaws, the imperfections. And in fact, it's in those flaws that you see God's power and glory most clearly on display. There's I remember, who was it? Oh, you know what? I hate to say these names, but I don't. But I remember listening to Joe Rogan interview Jordan Peterson.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Jordan Peterson's not a Christian. Yeah. Joe Rogan's obviously not a Christian. Yeah. Although, who knows what's going on with those guys. But and we hope and pray that they will. But I remember this interaction. This is a few years ago. And I remember Rogan used to be very suspicious of Christianity. He's warmed up now, but he was very dismissive of the historicity of the claims. And he goes, you cannot trust the Bible. Constantine wrote all this sort of trope nonsense. Yeah. And And he was like, and Jordan Peterson had just read out a part of Jesus, one of the Gospels. And he goes, how can you trust it was Jesus who said that? And Peterson said something that I don't think it's his idea, but it really stuck with me. And it was, well, if he didn't say it, I want to know who did say it. Because what he says is the most radical, revolutionary, like life-transforming stuff.
That's right.
And I was like, oh, yeah.
That's right.
And that's the great power of the word, that
That's
the
right.
word does the work.
That's right.
You know, that we just need to get people and not
Read
assume
it.
they understand it, because we need to sit there with
Yeah.
people and explain it. Now, brother, can I, we'll just get to, I suppose, as we finish up our time together, to think about, as you now reflect on being a Christian in Australia.
Yeah.
So you've been a Christian 8 years? Is that what you're saying?
9 years.
9 years,
9
yeah.
years, yeah.
Now as a pastor and a preacher, an evangelist, telling people, and you live in Wollongong, which is multicultural, but also has a big white population.
Yeah.
A lot of great churches.
Yeah.
But 95% of the people not believers, not
believers,
saved. What do you reflect on now for your own conversion that shapes the way that you tell other people about Jesus? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So how does the way you became a Christian shape the way you talk to other people about Christ? Just in general, but then also about Muslims.
Yeah.
For those of us who are Christians and we want to reach Muslims, we want to love them and see them come to know and love the one true Jesus of the Bible. How do we go about doing that? Do we need to become experts in Islam? Do we need to, what do we need to, what do we do?
No. Like, especially with Muslims, like I grew up as a Muslim. I never read the Quran. I never owned Quran. I still don't know what Quran says. So I don't think you should be an expert.
Is that normal though for Muslims? Like
I
most
think
people who
so,
say
yeah.
they're Christians have never read the Bible.
Yeah.
That'd be the same for most Muslims. They've never read the Quran.
Yeah. I heard stories about Quran and what people say about Quran, but I never read it personally because I couldn't speak Arabic. Quran is only in Arabic, and I couldn't read it. So why would I even bother reading it?
And you were evangelized by talking about Jesus of the Bible,
That's right.
not about debunking Islamic
No.
teaching.
No.
Is that right?
No one really tried. That was me myself comparing it as a Muslim, as an ex-Muslim. I was like, compare Christianity to Islam. Yeah, that makes sense. No one even said a single word about Islam or anything to me. No one really even tried to convince me that Jesus, I mean, people told me about Jesus and what Jesus says about himself, but no one sat with me and said, unless I had questions and I questioned them. No one said, Pastor Rick did it and he said, let me show you that Jesus is God. But in Wollongong,
He's American.
Yeah, he's American.
So.
Yeah. But that was not my experience. I guess the one of the first things I noticed was, and that made me interested in Jesus was people. Like, these people are different, and it was obvious. And they were genuinely different. Like, the love, the kindness, the hospitality, that was so intriguing. And I was like, I want to know about the God they believe, because these guys are different. So that kind of is one of the conviction, is that if I want to evangelize to someone, I want to be genuinely interested in them. I don't want them to just become. If I just say, come read the Bible with me, but never come to my house, never spend time with me, play FIFA, then I don't like that evangelism. I like a relational kind of evangelism. I want to show interest. Hey, I want to love you as a brother, but also I want to tell you about Jesus. So it's both things. I think that's one of the convictions
And that's one of the one of the dangers of the relational piece can be. We do all relationship and no proclamation, no teaching, no evangelism. But you're actually saying no. That you and this is the Apostle Paul. The Apostle Paul, he doesn't turn up to places, stay for years, then talk. He turns up to places, talks, then stays.
That's right.
And so that's what you're saying here.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's particularly important. Is it worth identifying that if you're dealing with people from overseas background.
That's right.
So in Australia at the moment, we've just been blessed by a lot of immigration from the subcontinent or from wherever.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say one of the most powerful things anyone can do is, hey, if you're playing cricket or football or university or work, invite people over for dinner.
That's right.
Just as an Aussie or whatever.
That's right.
Say, hey, do you want to come over and play FIFA?
Yeah. But that's by itself does nothing. If you just
on its own, that does nothing. But with there's an openness to talking about religion.
That's right.
In multicultural communities more than white Australia.
That's right.
Yeah.
And also just the whole experience of me going to church, to Gospel for the Gone, to the course, where I heard, music, the gospel, people talking about Jesus. So don't be scared of inviting people to church, to the course, to evangelistic rallies. Don't be scared to give them a Bible. Trust that the Bible is God's word and it changes people's lives. Trust that the church proclaims Jesus and people hear it and, they'll be changed. God opens their hearts through proclamation of the gospel. So I have this confidence that if I know someone, this is my experience. I was invited to church. I was invited by my lecturer to the evangelistic rally. So if I have a non-Christian friend, yes, I want to love them. I want to show interest. I want to invite them to play FIFA and have dinner. But also, the most important thing is for me to give them a Bible, read the Bible, invite them to church, let them hear the gospel, invite them to the course, let them ask questions, and don't worry about the background, and what do you know? I know nothing about Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, nothing. Like, I know a little bit of Islam because I grew up in a Muslim family, but I don't even know the differences between Sunni and Shia. I never really cared. So don't worry about that, but just do the things that you need to do. Love people, read the Bible with them, proclaim Jesus to them, and trust that God, opens eyes and changes.
Yeah, I love that, man. Yeah. One of the key things I've just seen in life as just a principle, but I think I notice the same thing, the love of the Christian church. And one of the things we can forget the longer you're a Christian is how uniquely beautiful that is. That if you're brought up amongst it all the time, you don't know it.
Yeah.
I remember one of the first churches I worked at was in Western Sydney, and a Persian couple were converted, praise God, amazing. And they had never seen the Harbour Bridge, because they were living out in Villawood or something, So I remember we took them for lunch in the harbour, and we took them in, we caught the train in, and they got out of Circular Quay, and they walk out and they see the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House.
Wow.
Okay. And I had used to work in the city, and I would have lunch next to that with my back to it. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't care.
Yeah,
I grew up with it.
Yeah.
But what do you think they did? Well, you say Persians are not emotional. Oh, because it represented freedom. It represents everything. It's this thing.
Yeah.
And we've got to remember the church is that. The church is this thing that's powerful and beautiful.
That's right.
But we often sit with our back to it thinking, it's not a big deal. Right. But actually, it's got a real power to it.
That's right.
And we've got to use it. The other thing I'd say is with people from a Muslim background, one of the things, Sam, to be completely honest, for Aussies, is we can be afraid.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear about Islam, some racist and xenophobic, some justified. It's all just as there should be about every group.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who has got a Muslim in their life, who actually, even more so than you, they've read the Quran, they know it all, and they feel scared or intimidated, either not physically maybe, but also not knowing what to say? How would you encourage them to go about actually evangelizing someone like that?
Yeah, be confident of God's word. Be confident that God's word, either proclaimed through courses or rallies or churches and through the Bible, changes people's hearts. Be confident of that, but also don't be scared of saying that you are a Christian and this is what you believe. Muslims won't be offended if you say, they know you're a Christian and they are interested, most of them. Like, I was interested. Okay, you believe in a different religion? Like, that's interesting.
Is there a bit of a thing there with Muslims about evangelism? Is there or is it, I've just heard in the past, like, there can be, if I use the word polemic, you know the word polemic?
Yeah.
Like, quite aggressive, like that if you are overly polite in a way that we can be in the Western world, like not real polite, but fake polite, where we're like, I respect your... But if we do that with Muslims, like with devout Muslims, does that show that we actually don't believe what we say that we believe? If we're sort of like, well, you believe what you believe, I believe.
No, yeah. That's right.
We don't want to do... We want to just be very polite, but firmly going, no, Jesus is the Son of God.
That's right, because Muslims think they know, like, compared to Hinduism and Buddhism, there's a difference between Islam and other religions compared to Christianity, because they think they know Jesus. He's a prophet. He's in Quran. We know he raised Lazarus from the dead. We respect him. We call him the Son of God, but we don't believe he's not a God.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to open the Bible and say, no. Jesus himself never said that he's a prophet. So the fact that he called me a prophet doesn't make sense, because he himself never said he's a prophet. He always said he's God. So there are things that we should show them and point them to, and not just say, "Oh yeah, you believe he's a prophet. I believe he's the Son of God. He's God." No. You don't be scared to say, "Actually, I think there's a misunderstanding, because Jesus himself never said that about himself." They also believe that they think Christians believe in three gods. Misunderstanding. No. Don't be scared to explain. No. We don't believe in three gods. We believe in one God in three different persons. And this is how it works. Let me show you from the Bible what it says, and trust that the Bible changes people's hearts, opens eyes. So be confident, be polite, of course, don't be aggressive, but be confident to point them and correct those misunderstandings, because there's assumed knowledge from Muslim about Christianity. Yeah, we know Jesus is a prophet. They think he rose from the dead. No, show him, tell him, why do you think the resurrection really happened?
It's history. Yeah.
Because there are so many evidence, like the fact that the disciples were scared, were terrified, and they came back, lost their lives for for writing the Gospels, for proclaiming Jesus.
Yeah.
How do you explain that change?
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to know your Bible. You got to know.
Well, that's the key thing, isn't it? That to evangelize anyone, we don't need to be experts in their culture. We need to be experts in our belief, in the gospel.
That's right.
And an expert in the gospel at the very basic level is, you know it.
That's right.
You're a beggar. You know that you're a beggar who's got bread, telling another beggar where to get bread.
Yeah.
And analysis paralysis. Have you heard the term? Analysis paralysis?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It can be like, we just think so much about what everyone else believes. Yeah. And this will be really, and it's good that we know. But I've always just found, try and know one fact about every nation on earth and be interested and honour people.
Yeah.
That honours people. If I'm interested in where you come from, genuinely, you can't fake it, but I really want to know, what's life like there, man? What is it like growing up? And what do you guys think of blah, blah? I've just never found people reluctant to talk, people, and that's the same for white, black, brown, whatever,
That's right.
Arabs and Persians.
Yeah, that's right. I love that distinction.
Yeah, big time. Now, brother, just to finish up, the final thing I'll get you to speak to is Alive. So Alive, you are the director of Alive Wollongong, which is a rally event taking place next year in the beautiful coastal paradise of Wollongong. Tell us about it. Tell people listening or watching, what is Alive, what's going to be happening, why should people be involved?
Yeah, so here's the thing. This I heard from you, and I'm convicted of it, that when people become Christians, most stuff, you can say people become non-Christians who become Christians as adults, they have one thing in common. They all know a Christian, and I believe that if we invite people to a place where they hear a clear presentation of the gospel, God can and will change their hearts and open their eyes. So Alive is an evangelistic rally, you can say, in Wollongong on the 21st of March, where we, with clear representation of the gospel, proclaim the gospel to people, and we have plans to follow them up if they become Christians, and to connect them to a church, to a course, to answer the questions, and it's almost like all churches, most churches in Wollongong are involved. So this is not to replace the courses, not to replace
the complement.
It's a complement to complement what they're doing. And that's what we want to do this year. We just want to proclaim the gospel, present the gospel clearly. We want to call Christians to invite the non-Christians so they can trust Alive and see how clear the presentation of the gospel is. And we believe that God can work through it, and He will change hearts.
And music.
And music, good music. Yeah, good music. Yeah, and my experience.
Big time. Yeah. Now, where is it going to be? And you said, 21st of March. Yeah, where?
Victory Anglican
Church.
Yeah.
So, if you want to find out more information about that, people can go to madealive.net and get that as well. Sam, brother, it's just been Azizam.
Yes, Azizam. Yeah.
Azizam. I've got to be honest, Habibi is so much easier, you know.
Don't call me Habibi.
No, never. I would never. Brother, it's just been a delight having you here, and praise
thanks
God
for having me.
for you and the work He's done in your life. Well, thanks for tuning in and listening or watching. Please feel free to share this with people that you know and love. We want to see more and more people come to know and love Jesus. If you've heard something in the conversation with Sam that's intrigued you about Jesus, please don't hesitate to get in touch. And we'd love to tell you more about him and send some resources your way. To find out more information about the Alive rallies and the Alive movement in general, madealive.net. And if you are a Christian in Wollongong and you want to get involved, there's a Get Involved button. You can click there and you'll have the joy of hanging out with Sam. And even I might turn up as well as we proclaim the gospel in Wollongong. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next time.